Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Simpletin podcast. And I'm your host, Timmy, aka Timin. Today, we'll be having an interesting topic, which is gender inequality in tech. And with me, I've got the fantastic, talented Simpletin team. So, is there such a thing as gender inequality in tech?
Yes, there is. And it is actually quite sad that there is such a huge gap between the number of men that occupy tech roles in Nigeria and in the world at large compared to the women. So in Nigeria, only 22% of women occupy roles in tech in the ICT space in Nigeria. In sub-Sahara Africa, only about 30%, and in the world at large, 27 point, I think 2% occupy tech roles. And that is so sad because there are so many ambitious women out here and so many brilliant women that have voices, that have ideas that can bring to the table. But it's sad. There is a table, but there are no chairs set in front of those tables.
Do you think there is a reason why that is?
There are so many reasons. There are actually so many reasons. There is the systematic biases. There's this bias that, because she's a woman, she probably would not like tech, or like, what can you do? So women are usually like pushed more towards the soft skills. Like, okay, just take like minutes of meeting, like take notes, or okay, just help them participate in that meeting, dismissed when they have ideas, when they bring ideas forward. Instead of taking the ideas, they're like, okay, we've heard you. Like, yeah.
So let's go back. So let's get real now. Let's get really real.
Yeah.
Because we've got Fatima here who's a techie.
Yes.
So let's talk about where it starts. Right. Usually it starts with the individual. Right. The individual applies or trains in the tech space, and then applies for a role before getting employed, right? So are we saying that not a lot of women want to be in tech, or a lot of women are training themselves to be in tech, or are kind of hitting the wall with not being accepted when they interview? What are we actually driving at in that particular conversation when it comes to the numbers?
You just said that it starts from the individual.
Yes.
But I don't believe it starts from the individual. It starts from home. It starts from their upbringing. There's a type of upbringing you give to a child that they will believe that I can do anything. I can bring down this world if I please. I can own this world. I can find a place for myself in this society and I will thrive. If you raise a child that way. Same way you raise a daughter. When you're raising a daughter, there are certain things that I'm sure you would push towards her. Growing up, my mom didn't tell me that, Maureen, you can't do this particular job because you're a girl. You can't do this. Instead, she told me that, why not study information technology? She didn't say that, because you're a girl, you can't study things like engineering or whatever. No, you can do it. But that's the thing. Most girls are told to study, they're like, you're a girl, you have a home one day, you need to cook, you have to raise babies, you need to carry them, you have to take care of your husband. That is beautiful, that is wonderful. I want that for myself in the future. But when you bring them down to the point of you are living to serve others, like you cannot do this thing just because you are actually able and capable of doing this, it's sad. So it starts from home. Most girls are told that, why not consider nursing, admin work, mass comm, law, like those are like easy. Girls do that a lot, instead of saying that, why not go for engineering? Or like, why not go for why not decide to like become an astronaut or something like that? Something that is like a men's, like it's usually like men's field. You notice that most girls are not told to do that.
So I want to come back to you on a couple of things. Number one, I feel like it's 2025. So really that conversation of, you're expected to cook, I feel it's for a certain generation, right? So meaning that young men or young male or young generation now kind of understand that the competition is general. It's no longer he versus her. That's what I feel. I don't know.
Mm.
You're a young person, so you tell me.
Yeah.
Do you think guys of your age
I think
still see that ladies should not be in tech, or see that ladies are inadequate when it comes to being in tech? So because you've talked about the fact that it starts from home. Okay,
yes.
cool. But if it starts from home, the people who are talking at home are way older. They come from a different generation. But let's take that away. Let's talk about, how do your peers see ladies in tech?
I think I've been fortunate enough to be around reasonable men that have not said that, "Oh, because you're a girl, you can't do this thing. Why would you do that?" No, I've been around guys that are like, "Oh, do it now." Like Osaze is like, if like in uni, Osaze will be like, "Boss, you can do this thing." You tell Fatima too. We had like when we are doing internal defense, external defense projects or whatever. It's like, yes, you can do it. Our classmates never like said that. Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, she be babe now. That's why she know if you do. I'm like, no. It's always been a thing of she can't like. I have a brain. You have a brain. We can get this thing done. That's that. But there's, I never want to discount this thing, the upbringing. Upbringing is very, very important. I know you're like, let's put that.
No. We're going to come to it. I think we're going to deep into it. But I just wanted to at least clear that bit, that your peers right now don't actually see it differently. They know that, just like them, you can also thrive
Yes.
in tech. So Emmanuel, what's your take on, Maureen has read some stats, which, to be honest, 27% globally, I'd say, it's low. But then again, is it because tech is becoming a thing? So it's going to take time for that transition from the old fashioned nursing and all these other, like project management, or all these other roles that are, female dominated, or male dominated, industries that, females are still trying to get into. So what's your take in terms of gender inequality in tech?
Okay, so I'll first of all like to detach tech from it, in the sense that yes, that tech is quite rampant now, but the gender inequality is not just is in job roles general, because tech is also perceived maybe as engineering to some parents. Okay, so majorly it boils down to perception, and then down to culture. Okay, firstly perception, but culture shapes the perception. Perception of parents, they feel that, oh, maybe a male child is not supposed to go into this kind of work. A female child is not supposed to do this kind of thing. For instance, engineering, they'll say, oh, a lady should not be doing engineering. But what stops a lady from doing engineering? Nothing. All this over time transpired to the perception that women ought to focus on this, stay at home, do that. And that translated even into work. So for me, is the thing of perception is deeper than that. When you go into research, see a lot of things. But things that I can mention: perception, culture. Then also when it gets to the workplace, many leaders and CEO perceive or feel that maybe women will not be committed because of that perception, because of, oh, childbearing, they have other things to do and all of that. So, but those are the thoughts that come to mind when I talk about gender inequality.
So in tech, I think for me, it just like you, I don't really see a correlation with tech and gender, right? Purely because any role that I feel you have a brain, you should be able to do, whether or not you're female or male, right? And in my work experience, I've always had worked with very talented females who are techies. I've had chief technical officers who are female. So you don't necessarily look at it like, oh, she's a woman, or it's more about, can you deliver?
Exactly.
Can you perform?
Exactly.
Right? Because again, you do have guys who are in senior roles who don't perform.
Yeah.
Even if they perform, their style is maybe very toxic, and vice versa. And I'll be honest, my best manager in the history of my work experience,
Yeah.
was actually a female. Like if I was to class now, not to say that if you were to take an average, the females were the best managers, but I would say from my experience, and I think what made her stand out was she had a very good understanding on what her capabilities were as a lady and used it to her advantage.
Exactly.
Right. I think you could tell that she was very intentional in how she managed, right? And also all her team members were male, but she would always get them to do stuff. She would get us to perform effectively without doing a lot. And I just felt she understood the difference, because I think we're always trying to come away from the fact that there is a difference between a male
That's very true.
and a female.
That
right?
is it.
And this is where we won't mention his name, but the guy in the USA who has made it a thing now to make sure it's what it is. But I just don't feel there is that element. And I think Fatima here proves the point in Simpleton, because she's probably the most techie female that we have. So Fatima, that's now to you. So in your experience of doing tech, I think what I want to understand is, why did you choose like what you're doing now? What started that thing of I think I can do this as a profession?
All right. So the funny thing is, I didn't study information technology because I want to be a Texas. I studied information technology because I did not want to study any course in faculty of health science. Engineering was too much maths for me, so I studied information technology. Sure.
So
Plus, I didn't want to study.
so when you got there, information technology, the journey has started. You started seeing your courses, your modules, your programs, whatever that is. How was that for you, like finding yourself in the courses?
So I was lost in 100 level and 200 level. I was honestly reading to pass my exams until the internship we did in 200 level summer. I did my internship with Tech from here in Abuja, and I was working with the design team. They dedicated a supervisor to teach me UI UX from scratch. Like I feel like I was in class. She taught me every single thing, and that was when I decided that, oh, I want to be a UI UX designer. And honestly, I don't see myself doing anything else. I'm so passionate about it now. So a female mentor basically helps you at this space. Yes. You see, that's what we need more of. This is why we need more women in space, because when there are more female mentors, women that are passionate about their careers and know what they are doing, very ambitious, they want to teach more people, teach more girls, and bring them into this space. They will make room for them. Look at how she has made you. Yeah, look at how she has now like made you fall in love with UI UX. Now you are doing it and you don't even see yourself doing any other thing. This is the importance of having women bringing their voices into this space, because it's their voices that would echo and then bring more girls in. You see, the thing is, when when interest is not cultivated, nobody would want to do something. Okay, let's say an iPhone. If there was no buzz about, oh, iPhone this, iPhone that, will anybody buy it? No. But when there is buzz, when women are standing and like, this is why it's important for you to come study this. This is why this and this and this and that. When there is the exposure, when you say, when there are forums, when there are events, when there are webinars, when there are books published, when on the news you sit down, you see there's this tech founder, this person, that person, and it's a woman, you would want, as a young girl, you'd be like, wow, there's space for me in that place. I want to go there too. I want to see what they are doing.
So you're saying role models can
Very
help
important. Yeah, that's where we need more women.
in that particular journey.
Yes.
But I still feel like this is just me, right? And I want you guys to actually tell me if you, so for instance now in Simpleton, do we get any, you know, do you get any sense that there is a divide? Because obviously we do tech. You've got Fatima, who's probably the most techie one, size old school and others. But if we're talking about females, she does most, techie stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have any inequality?
That's one thing that I've come to actually enjoy about Simpleton, is the fact that I don't feel like my voice is too small, or I cannot like say that, okay, this is what I think. In a meeting, you even be like, Maury, what do you think? We've made it an active thing where everybody has to say, okay, this is what I think. This is my own opinion on this matter. We're not pushed to decide. We're not being told that, okay, we'll come back to your own thing. Like, no. If it's good enough, we implement it. If it's not what we need in the moment, we say that, okay, we'll draft this, we'll come back to it later. Or we say, okay, thank you, but this can't go into this at the moment. But the fact that somebody still like said something is still appreciated, is still recognized. So I really, really love that, because starting here and, after like immediately after uni is so fundamental to my growth, and I know it because I'm not being shown that, oh, more in your voice is too small, more in your voice doesn't matter. Instead, I feel empowered and I'm like, okay, I can go outside and say, I'm a brand designer. This is what I believe. I think this is why you should actually change that logo. This thing is not working for you. You people need to do this and do this and do that. And I'm bold about it. I have a voice because Simpleton has enabled me to actually say that, okay, I can talk my stuff freely and I can
Oh, that's
own.
because you have to do your job. Has got nothing to do with whether you're female or male. You got to add your value,
Yeah.
to and you got to develop your skill, which is what we're about, obviously. So I think that's great to hear that we don't have that divide, and no one ever gives off that energy of, oh, because you're female, you don't have anything to say, or even because you're male. Because, we do say gender inequality and we focus on female. I do feel sometimes men do get stigmatized, or guys do get stigmatized for behaving a certain way, right? Because you see, not every guy is bold, confident. Not every guy is masculine 110%.
Yes.
Like, so I do think sometimes we overlook those guys who don't have a voice because of the lack of being the Mr. Macho, and they're shy, they're all that kind of stuff. So I think it boils down to an individual, right? How do we treat individuals? How do we see individuals in our workplaces? How do we actually look at someone's ability to deliver work based on their skill set? How do we see someone's ability to be accountable for what they've been given to do? How do we see them being responsible? How do they conduct themselves with clients? I think when it becomes a thing of, whether you're female or male, I think it takes away the authenticity, if that's the right word, of someone's ability to just be themselves, right? Fatima's found herself through, her experience in her internship and what she did. Now, maybe if she never met that lady and never had people who were dedicated to her growth and her learning, she may not be a techie, right? She may find something else that she wanted to do. So I think, yes, we do have a perception, like Emmanuel has said, but I think there's one more thing that I want you to kind of talk about. And this is something I read, and I just want to see what your view is,
All right.
and hear what you guys think. Now, there's something I read about the fact that women take less risk, and which is why you don't actually see them in leadership roles, right? They tend not to believe they can, compared to guys who might bluff and talk the talk to land the roles or land the contract or land the job. Is there any truth in that?
There's truth in that, and I'll tell you why. It's because, again, back to upbringing and back to how society is built. We live in a patriarchal society. There is nobody can argue that with me. This is a patriarchal society. Really, Nigeria is that, and the world at large, we are still in the process of, well, getting there. But women take less risk because confidence was not instilled. It was not something that they said that, okay, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this. I've had that all my life. My auntie, my mother, my father, my uncle, everybody's like, no, you can do this thing. If I'm like, I'm tired, they're like, you can do this. Not everybody has that type of support system, and it's painful. So because guys, they're like, you have to feed your family. You will have children. You will have a wife. You will have children that are going to secondary school, that are going to university. Who is going to pay their school fees? So you have to bluff. You have to find every way possible to get to that point. So it really is about instilling confidence in women. If there is no confidence in, like, okay, if you have confidence in a risk that you're about to take, will you take it? No. You're like, is this thing pan out? Am I confident enough to say that I want to even apply for this job? Would they even employ me? So it's part of the stats actually. So women that are overqualified for a role, that are beyond qualified for a role, they'll be like, I don't think, I don't think, doubting themselves. So we need to instill that confidence as a society, as this industry, and we need to give women space in boardrooms. So there's this part of the stats bar. There was this survey that was done in Nigeria where 93 tech companies took a survey. Out of the 93 companies that took that survey, only six out of the 93 had women at managerial positions.
Oh wow.
That's incredibly low.
Yeah.
So who was the role model for these
Do
children?
you not think, now that you said that, do you not think that's societal?
It is now.
Like, that's shaped by how society sees.
Yes. And then 31 out of those companies don't even employ women at all. Like in
31 out of
the
the 93
93.
don't employ women at all.
That's what we're told. So do you see, when girls have even like finished uni, they've gotten certifications, double certifications, they go to those companies, they try and apply. They just turn them because they say, what would she do? What value would she add? And the reason why they even say that is because they don't even give them the ability to even showcase what they've learned, what they know. It's sad.
Yeah.
But
So, Emmanuel, what's your take on Maureen's view?
No, so I think she's correct, but one thing about perception I like to say is that for every given set of perception, there is usually a flip side to it, in the sense that if there's a perception that women can't do certain things, it impacts on the women themselves. They don't see themselves in those places. That's why when she said role model, why do you think role models are necessary? Because they have not yet seen themselves in those places. They don't feel adequate enough to fill those roles. They don't feel that they can do it, which goes back to culture. And another thing to really state here is the role of men and women in society. Like in our society, what do we see men do? She mentioned about how that men have to provide. That role alone pushes men to take risk automatically more than women, because they have to fight for provisions to ensure that they're able to provide for the whole. But yes, some women do it because they have to survive. But again, I remember when we were talking about jobs, and that job is not just about money. Some people are passionate about things that they do, and maybe money comes along, but work should be for everybody. So what I would say is that perception that we are talking about has a great impact on women themselves, on how they see work, on how they perceive work. One thing I would like to state before I go is also that women have, when we are able to have this equality, I feel like there's something you mentioned, that to understand that both women and men, they are not the same. They are different. And if they can come together, they'll produce something really good. One thing I know that women really have is empathy. And that translates to emotional intelligence, which is something that is very important in the workspace. Even though it has a flip side, they can use it against you.
And I agree with that, because that's something I've had to learn in my entrepreneurship journey. Empathy, which is something I don't think comes naturally. It doesn't, right? As a guy, and I think most guys would have to admit that that's not a natural thing. So always wanting to try your best to understand the other perspective and see that, and I think that's something that, which is why I say, they're two different things. You just have to be able to use the strengths and also learn. It's something that we both have to be able to do. But as you said, I think it's a thing that both roles both sides have to really work hard towards achieving, is because at the end of the day, does it really matter if a company is making billions just because you have a female at all? Like, if I was a shareholder in a company, I don't really care.
In fact, if she's the one that is making it
She's
work,
the
you
one
put her
making it
there.
work. You have to
Yeah.
keep her there. There must be an issue if she's not. So I think that is what I would probably say. But I just wanted to ask Fatima before we finish. Um, what would be your take if, for instance, you were kind of said to that, well, we don't really think because you're female, you can actually be a programmer, for instance. What would be your feeling just hearing that someone says that to you because you're female?
What I feel?
What would you feel? What kind of emotion would you? How would you take that expression?
I don't want to say I would be sad because it's not what it is. You don't understand. You are focusing on my gender instead of what I'll bring to the table. So honestly, I'll move on. There are so many opportunities out there. I won't stop myself because one person thinks I can't do it because I'm a female. So I'll move on.
Fab. Anyway, guys, I think that conversation is something that probably needs a part two and in depth, because there are things I want to say, particularly, since I've been coming into Nigeria, I've noticed, yeah, there's certain things that when it comes to what Maureen was saying, how women are perceived, I think people are still a little bit behind
There.
on things. Individuals act different ways. It doesn't have to do with whether you're gender or not. So I think, like, yeah, I think there is that delay in the society coming to the fact that things are changing. Things have changed drastically, and they kind of need to do more in putting women at the forefront. So Maureen, what have you got to say to the ladies out there who are passionate about what they want to do and they just want to succeed in life?
My dear girls and my dear women, the future of women in tech, it's about us coming together, building our own tables, building our own chairs, raising podiums, building our own our own space in the industry to get us to echo our voices so we can pull more girls in. I talked about interest. Let us give these girls, these little girls, and the young women out there, even the more mature women, the chance to experience tech at its fullest. Let us learn the skills. Let us go above and beyond and crush every barrier. Put aside all the biases, the systematic oppressions that has been put up against us, and let's create our own space. What do you say? Are you ready? Because I am, and I'm waiting right here for you.
All right, guys, it's been an interesting one. As you heard passionately from Maureen, you have to go out there and you've got to smash it. Learn those skills, believe in yourself, and remember, it's all down to you. You can do it. You can become who you want to become. Next time on Simpleton, we'll be discussing more things. But for today, you've heard it. Women in tech are fabulous. Thank you very much. See you next time.